So guys, sorry about being late on this video. It's about a week late actually. We've been kind of busy since we got back from PopCon. We both started new jobs. So yeah, that's why our video is late. So, and also, nobody knows I'm gay.
This is, he has to have that in every video he makes now. That's the punishment for being late.
Yeah, anyways, so we got a panel with Freddy Wong, an interview with Void Software. Softworks, and a bunch of other stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoy, and especially check out the Freddy Wong panel because that shit was lit.
Do you even know what that means?
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's all good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Tired.
Yeah, well, that's because you were probably partying all night, man. You gotta slow that down. You got a full weekend ahead of you.
Chocolate cake shots.
Wait, what?
Chocolate cake shots.
Is that? I saw there was a chocolate place.
It's some bar in town.
Do you want to know how to make them?
Do you need an oven?
No, chocolate cake shots is 1 part Frangelico,
Okay.
1 part vanilla vodka, shaken over ice. You sugar, a quarter of lime, so you soak it in sugar. You shoot it and bite it.
Anything? Oh, Indianapolis people. What's good? Like what should? Like what is there to do around here?
Broad Ripple. Yeah, Broad Ripple.
Broad Ripple?
You want to party? Turn up Broad Ripple.
What is Broad
It's
Ripple?
like a
It
strip
sounds like
of
a
bars.
okay.
No, it's a strip of bars, clubs.
It's like a code word that you use.
No, just a strip of bars, clubs. Highly recommend.
I heard there's a 24-hour bowling place. Is there something like that? I was reading about this. No?
They got like a bar that like, is a bicycle and you just drive it down the road.
I have seen that, like a barsicle sort of thing. I never understood. So the weird thing about those is like I always see them in motion. I've never seen them
Stop.
like I don't know how these people get on it. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like it just exists. I'm just like I wonder where they, and it just doesn't look like they ever stop.
Wait, didn't you have one in season 3 of VGHS?
So okay, so here's the story. We were season 3 of VGHS. Matt had seen those. He's like, dude, these things are hilarious. We gotta like, wouldn't it be funny if as a storyline these guys stole one? So we were looking around for like, okay, where do you get one of these? So we started calling around, and we started calling around like a number of places. And there's basically like 1 or 2 companies in the Midwest that makes them. I think it was like the company that made it like ran out of Kansas or something like that. So they're the guys who makes these things. And we're like, okay, cool. Like, how much is it? Like, and we're trying to budget it out. And the funny thing is, they're like, oh, what's it for? Like, oh, it's a show. And like, and they've got very specific about like, how are you going to be using it and stuff like that. We're like, okay, there's a scene. And then like the moment that it was like, it's kind of like it's like a teen first drinking experience kind of story. They're like, nah. And it's like, oh wait, really?
They didn't want to endorse underage.
They were just like, no, we don't. Like they it's hilarious to me, but it's like they're very clear that we want this to be like a family friend. Where it's like, okay, it is a bicycle where the only time I've seen it is people just getting like hammered on them as they.
It's literally a mobile bar.
Yeah,
Bars are
but
in no sense family friendly.
Yeah, so they're like, so we weren't able to get one from them, but then we were trying to find, and again, they're the only people who really make them. So finally, we're like, okay, what about like the tandem bicycle, like touring bikes? And that's what we eventually found was like a one where you're seated next to each other. So it wasn't the exact, because in our heads the exact one was the one where everyone's facing inwards and doing that, but just couldn't find it. And so that's what we ended up with. Like, all right, I guess we'll for the story of it, we'll strap a keg in front of the thing and kind of. And I think it's like if you know what we're referencing, you'll know what it was supposed to be. But yeah, that was like the best we could do. We couldn't really find it.
That was one of my favorite parts in season 3, was just that entire story arc.
Yeah, so that was a funny one because that episode was there was one episode that for sure that we want, because what we had was in the course of writing it we had different story, like little story snippets. Like we had an idea of like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if it was like if Key was like a detective and it was like a noir thing. But then every time we took one of those like snippets and tried to turn them into a full like 44-minute episode, we're just like, man, there's like nothing here though. And it kind of like it would go and like we would try and expand it out and it would be like 20 minutes long and it'd be like, yeah, it's too short. It'd be like only half an episode. And then finally we're like, well, why don't we combine these into like a sort of like, okay. And then that was sort of where that started. It was like, oh, okay, so it's like, oh, let's make it like an event, and it's like, oh, the different storylines around that. Like, okay, perfect. And that was where like the dream sequence and all that came from. So the whole point of that was just we had these like little ideas, and we decided to sort of put that together. And then the teen, like the sort of teen experience one was one that was a lot of fun, but in terms of shooting it, because the way that we had shot most of that was super guerrilla, like it was just us, and we were in a neighborhood that that Matt, the co-director, knew really well because he grew up there. And we just loaded everybody up into like a passenger van, and just like, oh man, it was like 2 a.m, and we were just like driving around, like, okay, let's go over here, let's do a thing with the shopping carts. All right, get back in the car and go around. So that was the whole basis of that episode. But yeah, that was a fun one. Yeah, no, let's just do this. Let's just
This is
chat.
gonna sound really weird to say, but it kind of centers around your death in video games.
Oh,
Up until that point, the series had been pretty. Obviously, I don't want to say family friendly, but more upbeat and kind of happy. There had been sad parts, but nothing quite that dark. How was it, like, for you, the actors, and the staff, kind of change the direction of the Video Game High School almost on a dime with that? Just to.
well, so I would say the thing about Video Game High School, and the secret about it is this, which is when we first were talking about series, and this was back in like 2000. Like Video Game High School as an idea had been around before even we were starting YouTube. This was back in like, because in 2009, so I started YouTube 2010. 2009, we were talking about like, there's something going on with online and like online video, and everyone seems to be watching videos online. What can we do about this? And we had like some ideas that we were kicking around as like web series, because at the time we'd seen stuff like The Guild and things like that. Like, oh, maybe this is a way of doing it. And in 2009, we had this idea, like, it was Video Game High School was a totally different show. It was like, each episode was going to be 5 minutes long. It was going to be 8 5-minute episodes. It was going to be 45 minutes total. We'd even gone around to places and like pitched it. And the problem was, what we figured was like, well, the problem is like nobody, even if we put this out and managed to make it, nobody would actually see it because nobody knows who we are. So maybe the goal isn't to do like this show first. Maybe the goal is to just do like a YouTube channel first, and then start with the YouTube channel, and do stuff there, and then build up some following, and then from there do the show. And the funny thing is, with Video Game High School, like we were always joking that like the show that when you hear it, you have, I think, especially if you had seen like a lot of our sort of shorts at that time, you kind of have one idea of it. And then when you actually see it, it's a totally different thing. And we were joking, the show that like everybody was expecting was like, would have been called Hardcore Gamer Academy. And it would have been about like, like everyone would be super serious. It would look like Halo Forward Unto Dawn, and like, oh, it's super dark, and like make it super, and the funny thing about that was, for us, we were just like, we never thought video games is like we think they're cool, but we also think it's, and part of why it's cool is because it can be childish and fun and all that stuff. So when we started doing the show, because really, if you think about Video Game High School, is not Hardcore Gamer Academy. It's kind of like, it's secretly a high school show, but that has like a video game sort of side to it, right? And so when we started, we always wanted to get to a point where we started, it started to go into kind of like high school, and then some of our own experiences and stuff like that. Like season 2, it starts to get that way in terms of like the friend breakup and that sort of thing, and then that sort of led into season 3. So we always kind of wanted to kind of go in that direction, to kind of like, it sounds bad, like sucker people in with like the premise, and then be like, no, we're gonna get a little real with this, right? So that whole thing was very much based on, and again, it's all of that stuff is just like our high school experiences and kind of what I and my friends and Matt and the writers kind of went through. And the one thing that we had found was interesting was for season 3, one of the things that all 3 of us kind of had a little bit of experience with in high school is that we had a friend of ours who, like a close family member, had died. So Matt had a friend of his whose dad passed away. I had a friend of mine whose mom passed away. And so it was funny because it's like we were talking about that experience time out, like, oh, it's like kind of like a very early on sort of, encounter with like death and grieving, and you're like, oh, my friends, and trying to figure that out. And we were talking about like, okay, and I remember when we were talking about that, because we didn't have that idea, it was very much just like out of nowhere. The writers were Matt and Will, they're like, what if we killed your character out? Would you kill your character off? Like, wouldn't that be interesting? And they didn't really have anywhere to go with it. And then it actually became very clear after a certain amount of time, it was like, oh, you know what this actually does really nicely is that it actually gives Ted as a character something. Because the problem is what we had run into is that like he kind of just keeps becoming defined by, oh, he's just friends, like
the sidekick.
Yeah, he's like goofy sidekick friends with Brian and he's trying to support him. And it's like that only gets you so far in terms of character depth. And we're like, and then even from the beginning, like me is like his overbearing dad. Like that was just a joke because it's like, oh, this is just ridiculous, right? And it's like, and it was like, it's hilarious how like mean that we can make me and stuff like that. But then we're like, well, you know, it's like from like a, you know, not to get too deep in psychological, but from like a psychological perspective, we're like, yeah, but it's like nothing for him to do as a character. And we realized, oh, you know what, this is actually something, one, that's kind of truthful to our own high school experiences that we can kind of write about and depict with some degree of like, you know, our own personal experience. But then also for him as a character, it's like, oh, this is really kind of a good it can be a very good defining moment for him and how and it can be a way to bring them together. And it just fit all these sort of larger storyline things as well. So it was actually one of the things that we were super excited about. And if you looked at our Kickstarter or our Indiegogo at the time, we tease it and we joke about it, and we were like, and the season 3 will be the most intense season yet, like with the death of a beloved character, and it was funny because I think everybody didn't quite realize, like they thought it was gonna be like a joke, like they're like, oh, it's gonna be like so and so, or you know, and the best part about it was on the subreddit for Video Game High School. Someone was like, you know, we posted that, and randomly someone was like, who do you think it's gonna be? And people were like, oh, it's gonna be like, oh, it's probably Jenny's mom. It's gonna be this or so. And then someone was like, it's gotta be Freddy because, and then like laid out like perfectly, like because for Ted's character to grow and there'll be a way, like. And we're just like, who wrote this? Because they like straight up called it like to a T exactly the reasons why and why it makes sense story-wise and stuff. And then like immediately he got downvoted and the first response was like, no they wouldn't, you idiot. They would never do that. so we were like, we gotta find this guy. Like, after that episode came out, we like private messaged him. We was like, by the way, you nailed this like months ago. So congratulations.
Did you ever actually do that?
We did. We sort of quietly messaged him. That was the fun. It was really funny for us because we were going through it. Like, dude, like how did this guy know all this? This guy's really smart. Like nailed it. Yeah, I will say one of the funniest things that happened with us was because we were like, this is like, because one of the things that always blows our minds, like, sorry, you know, all the stuff people make around it. So you guys know fanfiction.net?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it's like a fanfiction forum, and so they had a role play thread for Video Game High School, and I was like, this is great. And so I was like, you know what I should do is I should go into this role play thread and role play myself. Like in the character, right? And do a whole thing. So, and you can still find this, by the way. So I go in, and this is like right when season 3 was coming out, and I was like, okay. So I go in and I write like, I feel like a pretty good story, but I wrote like a lot. Like I didn't just do like a paragraph like thing. I was like good like 2 or 3 pages of like my day and how I'm like a jerk and like how I'm like just I don't have time for all these kids. I just like did the whole thing. And then I was like, this is gonna be great. Like, I wonder what people think about this. Immediately, I got banned, and they're like, you didn't follow the rules, you didn't introduce yourself in the other, like the out of character thread, and this is like, it's disrespectful to the show because the character's not like that. I was like, what? So I was like, hey, sorry. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give it one more shot. So I went into the out of character thread. I'm like, hey, sorry, I didn't realize that there's a whole process here. I'm kind of new to this, and so I'm like, introduce myself. I'm like, hey, I'm a guy out of Los Angeles, like big fan of the show, and then went back, and then like the moderator was like, yeah, just don't do that again. So I was like, I got banned for being out of character in a fan fiction thread about me. Yeah.
Personally created.
No, I know, it was so good. Yeah. In that case, we haven't gone back and notified them. So we're just like, let's just leave this and see if anyone ever figures it out.
How did you find out about the Proto-Men? Like, I'm out of like the Nashville area.
Well, okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. They're all, yeah.
Yeah, no. I just got some housekeeping stuff I want to do. So everyone who's in here should be a Freddy Wong VIP. If there's a few VIPs in here, we'll take care of it. Yeah. I'm getting the Freddy Wong, your pass. Do you have one? You just have the all access. We should get you one of yours. So you
I
can
have
see.
a pass?
There we go.
No.
You have your own special pass.
Oh my God.
So I also want to give you one so you can have it. And
that's
then
really cool.
I wanted to let you know we're getting some Sharpies. And you can have a sign. Isn't that amazing?
That's hilarious.
So that one's for you. And then does anybody who has a Freddy Wong not have their Freddy Wong thing? Okay, cool. So I'm going to trade you out on your VIPs And then, yeah, there's just
Cool.
a signing associated with
I'll
this, and
sign
there's.
out.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Cheers, man.
So Proto Men. Okay, so this is the story, and this is a long and weird story. So a friend of mine named Chris, who I was classmates with at USC, he's like one of those dudes who like, he's teaching, he's a school teacher now up in Boston. He's from Boston originally. So he was Boston Chris because there were two Chris's on our floor freshman year. There was South Africa, who was from South Africa, and then Boston Chris. So it's like, all right, okay. He was and one of these days I'll tell a story about how he got one defective laptop from Dell and spun that into, I believe it was at the end of it like 18 replacement laptops and the personal cell phone number of like the vice president of like he just basically just kept pushing them. It got to the point where like you go over to his apartment and he'd be like, there's a laptop on the ground. He's like, yeah, I'm using that to prop up the table because it's like leaning. It's like, that's a $2,000 laptop. It's like, don't worry, I got hookup. So he was doing a documentary on this band out of his brother's like big into music and stuff like that. And his brother's like, you got to hear these guys. These guys are like, because all the Proto Men guys are all like originally just Nashville recording guys, right? So he's like, these guys, and his brother's a big recording nerd. So he's like, these guys are great.
I was in that documentary. I don't think it ever came out.
Like literally, I think the thing that they're waiting on, and real quick, I don't speak for him at all, so I don't know what he's doing with it. But I think they're waiting on Act 3 to do like the whole, you know. But so he was working on that, and he knew those guys, and so introduced us through it. I even went down before the documentary. I went down to one of the shows in I think it was in Nashville to shoot it. So it was myself and the director of photography of Vivian High School. Also, we were both there on stage, you know, shooting that, and we just became friends with those guys. And it started with season 1, and we're like, oh, this song is really cool, and they gave us like a total bro rate to use their song, and then and it became a thing where it's like, dude, we should do the theme song. Like we got to get, you know, and it just became a whole thing. So that's how we know them, and we think they're great. And we, you know, every single year, whenever we can, if I'm at PAX, I try to hit their live show, which is a really good live show. And yeah, that's basically the story.
He used to work at the same comic store as the singer.
Oh, Wade? Good times.
Yeah.
Or Raul Panther.
Yeah.
yeah. So that's the story of Proto Man. It was kind of cool too, because I think that I feel like they definitely have their whole a whole following, but I do feel like we had the opportunity to sort of introduce them to people, especially with a couple of songs in season 3. In season 3 too, like the biggest one for us was getting Andrew WK for the episode for the teen drinking / teen sort of montage episode, because he had worked with the 5 Second Films guys, and you guys know 5 Second Films, yeah? You guys know 5 Second Films? If you don't, you should check it out. It was like Vine before Vine. It was a bunch of friends of mine. Brian Ferenzi, who plays the law, in freshman year of college, he was like, I had this idea where we do it was a website where we make joke, you know, films, but they're only 5 seconds long. I was like, that's pretty good. He's like, yeah, I think I'm gonna go with that. So then he made this website, and he got a bunch of people together, and so they had done some stuff with Andrew WK, and so it was like, oh hey, we really want to use this one song, and we don't really have a lot of money for it. Is there any way we could? And so yeah.
So it was like the Napster of Vine.
It was like the.
Is he trying to get that Vine money?
Well, see, the funny thing was I remember very distinctly, like we were walking to Denny's, like it was late night. We were walking to Denny's. We were talking about this idea that he had. And someone was like, why 5? Like, why not like 6 or 7? And literally someone was like, nobody wants to sit around for 6 seconds. Like 5 is such a better number. Like, yeah, it doesn't, like 6 just doesn't, yeah, 5 is a nice round number. That's way better. And then we're like, wow, we missed that boat. But then we were joking that if they had made it 6-second films and all the Vines would be 7 seconds long, because they knew the Vine guys like early on, and very clearly the Vine guys were like, okay, we don't want to be 5-second films because these guys are already done it, so we'll go 1 second more. So it's like literally, if you remember, I forget what the movie it is, but it's about 6-second abs, or you know, like 6-minute abs or 7-minute abs. This is an old movie reference anyway. But yeah, it was one of those things where it's like, whoa. You guys like, because the problem was they were going to make a mobile app and like let people like upload their own 5-second films, and then Vine came out. They're just like, darn it. Yeah. Questions.
Oh, question.
Yes.
So, a YouTube question. So, when you are making a video and you're trying to maybe get some views on it, want to promote it in different places,
Yeah.
when you go to a blog or website, how do you recommend approaching them via email to try to get their videos featured and stuff?
So the way that I always look at it is, because I used to work at video game stuff as a 20th Century Fox, and this was like Kotaku, like early Kotaku we were talking to. They're looking for stuff to post. Like that's the thing you gotta remember is like they're not like sitting there not looking around for stuff to post, and they are looking for stuff to post. The caveat is it's got to be cool, or it's got to be good, or it's got to catch the attention of someone there. So every blog will have like an info or a tips like email to just be like, hey, have any cool stories for us? Like send it in through there. Like so that's one way we've done it. Another way, which is a little more targeted, is to actually figure out who the authors of posts, if they had posted anything of yours or anything similar to kind of what you're trying to do in the past on it. Like early on in Kotaku, there was a guy named Mike McWhorter who posted our stuff, and so it just became a thing where I'm like, okay, let me get his email because you can contact the blog authors, and then just emailed him every so often when I was like, and, I didn't spam him with every single one of our videos, but if it was something I'm like, you know what, I feel like this one is a good one, and I feel like this guy might like this, we would send it along, and they appreciate it because it's like, oh, they can get it early, and they can be like the first people to put it up, and they get something to put up on their site, and then you get that benefit as well. So it's about like going from thinking about not like it's a blog, but the target to the individual who's going to be more likely to help you
So
out.
is the approach more like, hey, I made this and I think your audience would enjoy it? Like when you're kind of constructing the email?
I think when you first start out, you gotta just, I mean, you probably would just, you probably just like don't make it something. Just be like, yo, check out this cool thing,
Yeah.
like because it always is like I think they probably get a lot of people being like, yo, I made this, and then just like, yeah, whatever. But if it's like, hey, this is really cool, this is gonna blow up, then it's like, okay, I'll check it out. But then after you establish that, it's a lot easier. But the hard part again is just starting the first one, because for us the first thing we were lucky, and the first thing we did was it was easier for us too, honestly, because like when we started, it wasn't like a lot of video game videos. When we started, it'd be like the first thing was like real life Portal gun. And it was like a video about Portal, like, whoa, like nobody was doing that, so like every video game blog was like, cool, we're gonna pick up on this. And so my advice is always gonna be a little bit out of date, because my advice is from 2010, which is 6 years ago, which is not the, like, internet 6 years, have you seen, like, there's MySpace still 6 years ago, I think people still on MySpace, Like, so it's definitely not, like, good advice for like right now, but the principle of it was to think about like, okay, like what can we do that like stands out a little bit, and that makes things easier, because the moment that you're like doing stuff and it's like, well, there's like 50 other people doing that, then it's like, okay, it's a little bit more hard to like make yourself stand out in that, you know what I mean?
I'd actually have a question for you. Is there like video ideas you wanted to do, but like for some reason you just never got around to it, or?
So we have 3 video ideas. 2 of them have been done. This was one night of writing yielded 3 video ideas. One was real life TIE fighters, which eventually we did with Jimmy Kimmel. One was Mexican standoff, which we did Key and Peele. And the third, so each one of these was like, we had Key and Peele, and we're like, okay, we need to write something for this, because we had a very basic idea, which was like, hey, Key and Peele, we want to do this thing, and it's like a Mexican standoff, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and they're like, cool, we're down. We're just like, cool, shoot, we don't know what this is, because all we have is that it just gets bigger and bigger, and like, where does it go? So that's where Mexican standoff came up. And in that same session, it was also like, oh, would it be funny if this, and we were talking about TIE fighters and all that, and that was what eventually the Jimmy Kimmel video was. The third one, which is an idea that I don't think will ever get done, requires Jean-Claude Van Damme. And we almost had it with, because we did a thing with Jean-Claude Van Damme and Funny or Die, but he was only doing it for, like Funny or Die, and we didn't really have any time with him. But, okay, so the idea is this. Jean-Claude Van Damme, like, because, it was based around the constraint that, like, you wouldn't be able to use Jean-Claude Van Damme, and like, maybe you can get a Skype call with him. So we're like, what can we do if the only thing we have is Jean-Claude Van Damme on Skype? So the joke was, it's a house, and it's like, it starts off, and you see like newspapers and stuff, like newspaper clippings on the wall, and it's like, Jean-Claude Van Damme, hail, hero of Brussels. It's like, Prime Minister gives Jean-Claude Van Damme nuclear launch codes to the country, and then like shaking hands and all that stuff, and it ends on like a little turtle that he has. And then like an iPad like on the table like lights up, and it answers as Jean-Claude Van Damme on Skype. And he's like, hello Tata, how are you doing today? It's like, you're my little buddy. And and the turtles, just like doing the turtle thing. And then like bad guys break in, like dudes in like balaclavas come and they sweep with guns, like, where is it? Find the codes! And they're looking around. They say, oh no, you have to do what you have to do. Remember how I triggered. And then it's just the whole video is just the turtle like making its way over to a self-destruct button and like going like this fast, and like in the meantime you see the guy like tearing up the place, and he's like, come on. And then we had all these just like stupid jokes where it's like, come on, remember my book, and then like it cuts to like his book and it's like Jean-Claude Van Damme, it's like and my turtle, and it was like stuff like one foot around the other, step number two, never give up, step 3, I love you, and it's the whole video is just building up, and the turtle like gets closer and closer to the button, and then finally like the one of the bad guys like sees it, and it's like wait a minute, and it goes over and picks it up, and underneath it is the nuclear launch, because like he's written for some reason he's written the nuclear launch on the shell of the turtle, but I don't remember how he got to it, but then by this point he's hit the button, and it's like and it explodes the house, and then like he cuts like the turtle shell like flying into the air, and it does like the Team Rocket like into the sky, and then it twinkles, but then the twinkle fades into Jean-Claude Van Damme's face as he's crying, and like that was the whole video. And we're like, this video will never happen. The other video, which
that would have been awesome.
I was like, we were like, it would have been the 3, the trilogy of the most insane night of writing.
It would have broken the internet.
The other one, which okay, this one's. So we had been talking to the guys behind the Expendables for a while, and they're like, "Oh, we want to do a video," and it was kind of like a whole process, because it was like at first it was like you can get everybody, and we're like, okay, cool, and they're like, okay, no, you can't, you can only get like all the people who aren't like Sylvester Stallone and all the crazy, and then so finally they're like, okay, you can get everybody for 10 minutes at Comic-Con, and that's it. And you can get Chuck. Oh, who is it?
Chuck Norris.
No, who's the MMA guy? Liddell. Yeah, so you can get Liddell for a little longer. I'm like, okay, what's a video idea we can do with 10 minutes of the guys of Expendables and Liddell for a little bit? So I'll write through the video. This video will never happen, which will bum me out forever. So it starts, and it's me and Liddell. And it's like, I want to join the Expendables. And he's like, look, I can make the intro, man, but you gotta know, they're really into high fives. Like, a good high five is super important. I'm like, okay, cool. All right, cool. It's like, so I just, I'm putting myself out there for you, but that's got to be the thing. So then it cuts to me like training, like straight up like this training montage of like working high fives, and like doing like arm wrestling and stuff, and just like working high five muscles and stuff, and like doing like you've seen Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone. It's a movie about him being a semi-truck driver, and like he has like a machine in his semi-truck cab for like working like arm wrestling moves and stuff. So it's just me training montage, like Rocky IV style, and then it cuts to Comic-Con. And it's like we run into, and it's like I walk in, and it's like, hey guys, like Chuck does, like, hey guys, this is the guy I was telling you about. It's like, it's really cool. It's like he's thinking about joining. And then Sylvester Stallone walks up and is like, cool, and he puts his arm out. I was like, all right. And it's just like the weakest high five, and then like we were like. And then my pants drop, and everyone's like, ha! and then Sylvester Stallone like punches me in the nuts, and I'm like, no! And so it's like I'm on the floor crying with my pants down, and everyone's laughing at me, and Liddell's like, ha, man, right? Like, and they all leave, like, what a loser, and I'm sitting there, it's like they're totally broken, and like they all leave me, and then it's like a montage of me in San Diego, like feeling down and depressed, like walking around, and it's like literally. And then we'd be in like Hall H, and you'd see them like all on the stage. And it's like you see me, and I look up, and you hear them. We would dub it in, and we hear them be like, yeah. And then there's one guy who couldn't even like high five properly, ha ha ha. And then the whole all laughs at me, and like, oh. And so it's like I'm walking back to my car, and then I'm in my car like crying, and then I drive up, and then crosswalk, and all the guys from the Expendables walk out, and like laughing and high fiving each other. And I'm like, I roll down my window. I go, Stallone! And he turns around, it's like, one more shot! and everyone looks, and they're like, what? All right, I'm like revving the car, like the tachometer's going, and he stands in the middle of the crosswalk, and he holds his arm out, and I hold my hand out, the side, and I like take off down the road. I'm going, and it's like, you see my hand like holding it against the wind, and he's holding it ready for it, like, and then right when we're about to high five, he was like, ooh, and this is like, and I just explode into an intersection, and then like just T-bone the car because I run a red light, and then it cuts to them like looking like, ha, and then he like pulls a detonator out of his pocket and just hits it, and just explodes the car behind him, and they all walk away from it. They just kill me, and we're like, we could do that in 20 minutes. 20 minutes with the guys, and yeah, we're like, we could do that one. So that one, alas, they heard the idea. They're like, we're not doing this. And this is the thing that was crazy to me. They said their feedback on that idea, which is, in my opinion, the best idea we've ever had. Their feedback on that was, this makes the Expendables seem too mean. Can they be like more friendly? Like maybe like they're like just jostling with Freddy? And we're like, what do you mean they're too mean? Have you seen these movies? The whole point of the movies is they go to foreign countries and just murder people. Like, what do you mean these? Like, yeah, we want the Expendables to be like a really like, you know, like it's like a buddy thing and it feels like camaraderie. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, that's not what. And like, we don't want them to seem like villains. I'm like, you guys haven't even watched your movies. Like, this is so bad. Question. Oh yeah.
What made you start YouTube?
What made me start YouTube? So, I was in college and I started watching YouTube. The first video that I saw was Lazy Sunday, which was like the SNL video, like SNL music video. So I was kind of watching YouTube, but I wasn't really like watching tons and tons of it. You know, it wasn't like it was right now, which is there's like tons of people on YouTube and there's people to follow and different channels and stuff like that. It was just like, hey, let's look at a video of a guy trying to do a backflip. It's like, oh man, he wasn't able to do a backflip. And he hurt himself. But one of the things that we saw was like there was a couple of people who were doing like things, and they were like talking with their fans and stuff, and they started like getting a bunch of views and followers. And when we started, you know, I think one of the things that we realized was like looking at guys like Kevin Smith or like guys like Quentin Tarantino, like all these directors, they could do a lot of stuff because they had people who followed them. And so when we were talking about, oh, we want to make movies, because that's kind of what I grew up with, saying I wanted to make movies. I grew up with Blockbuster Video and like renting movies and stuff, so that's what I wanted to do. And the reason why we did YouTube was, okay, well, this is a way of getting a group of people who can be fans of like what we do, and then when we do stuff like Video Game High School or some of the shows that we're working on now, then we'll have an audience of people to watch it. So that was basically it. And the good thing about YouTube too was it was a place to like practice. You know, like you look at a lot of like things. It's like it's a way to kind of just try things out without having to do it. You know, and in the way that like you could try things out and maybe it doesn't work, and that's not a big deal because you're just kind of experimenting. So it was us. We wanted to experiment with what we were doing, and we wanted to try and build up an audience so that, you know, hopefully people would watch what we do when we finally put it out.
Yeah. What is your favorite Cardboard Warfare video?
Oh, Cardboard Warfare 1, I think, is actually still my favorite. He has a third one planned, which I don't know if he'll ever get to. So a friend of ours, Clint, who came and worked with us. He's from Georgia originally. He made a video called Cardboard Warfare. And it's basically just like taking cardboard weapons and stuff. And because what happened was he had built a tank for a class project. Like they took a Ford like F-150 and built like a PVC shell around it and put cardboard around it so that it was like a drivable tank that was made out of cardboard. And he's like, yo, check this thing out. And that was all they were gonna do with it. I was like, you're gonna do a video with this thing, right? He's like, no, it's just like a class project. It's like, dude, like this thing's like ridiculous. Like do a whole video where you could, you know. And he was like, yeah, okay. And he sort of kicked some ideas around with him. But that was a really cool one because it was one of the ones where he had that like sort of seed of an idea and just went nuts with it, and like everything just sort of coming up with all that. So the first one I think is probably still my favorite. Yeah. He has a third one where he wants to do like mechs, like out of cardboard. I was like, dude, you need so much cardboard for that to work. But yeah, that's probably it. We talked a little bit about what we're working on right now, because I'm actually skipping out on a production that we're working on right now because I'm not directing yet. But we're doing it. Hold on, actually, let me just double check to make sure that I can say what I'm about to say. And if I do say what I'm about to say, you guys got to turn off the cameras because we got to keep this in the room, because some of this stuff is not super duper not announced yet. So.
Hello everyone and welcome to the show. My name is Arius and today on Gaming in Progress we are interviewing the guys from Void Softworks. We got Chris and Matt. They're an indie developer that have been working on, I can't remember her name, Abigail Cipher? The Abigail Cipher. It was an indie game that we were planning on doing today. Unfortunately, they did run into some problems. So we will be doing Let's Play, but it will be here instead of at our booth. So why don't you guys tell us some things about the game?
You want to take it? You can go for it. Okay. Abigail Cipher is a first-person action puzzle game set in a fictional city of Ashport. You play as a man named David Miller, who's a detective. His little girl was kidnapped, and you were framed for her disappearance. So throughout the course of the game, you're going to be doing puzzles and kind of proving your own innocence while also trying to find your daughter. It's heavily inspired by a lot of noir stuff. Anything I'm missing?
So it was first person, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. And
we're not good at this.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I mean, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that covered it pretty much.
Okay.
How long has the game been in development?
About a year.
Yeah. I mean, this like active development for probably like 4 or 5 months. But
Yeah,
like
we really started
a
hitting
pre-concept,
hard.
probably about a year.
How
What's
big is
your
team?
expected release? Oh, ask your question first.
Yeah, how big is your team?
5 people. We have Matt, our lead programmer. I take care of models and more of the art stuff. I'm getting into programming, just a little bit of things, the dialogue stuff. Jimmy, who came on 2 months ago, he's our AI specialist. Mike is our level designer, and Pat does some of the character creation and
some animation
stuff. So
Okay, when's your expected release date, or do you have one at this time?
it's not for sure. We're hoping by the end of next year is what we're shooting for. We don't want to like put a hard date on it just in case we need to push it back or anything.
Right. I know this is running on Unreal Engine 4. What are your expected consoles? PC only, looking at Xbox?
Definitely
PS4?
doing PC. We want to do Xbox. We got some people that we need to talk to about it. Wii U apparently is pretty easy to port to. Might try Wii U. We don't know if it's going to be a good apparatus to play the game on because of how our control scheme and stuff is.
Understandable.
Definitely going to talk to Sony.
Yeah, also.
I know they're really interested in getting indie developers.
Yeah.
Definitely the big 3, PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. is
Do
what
you
we're
plan on publishing on Steam, or is there another service you guys are planning on going
we're going to
through?
try to do Steam. If we can get a publisher, that'd be awesome. If not, we're going to try Greenlight. I mean, we'll shoot for it. It's up to the fans whether or not we do, but then we'll probably try to sell it ourselves on some sort of website, maybe through some other channels.
All right, so but judging by what you guys kind of told me, this is I'm not going to say Amnesia. I'm only saying Amnesia because of the mod base. This is obviously a text-based story based on Unreal Engine particles and models. Is there going to be any mods where people that might want to create their own stories or off-brands of it?
Possibly. We've been getting a lot of advice today about episodic releases.
Oh, there you
go. And if we do that, I mean, just coming to my head, I mean, that might really open up the door for some mods for people to make their own sort of episodes and release it. I mean, it could go that big. I don't know. We haven't really thought about it. Sorry, he can talk now.
No, that's
Ask him a question.
You're doing good. You're doing great.
You got any questions?
No, I think I've asked my questions.
I think I've asked my questions. How long have you guys been like Void Softworks? How long has this been a thing?
Probably about 3 years. Yeah, something like that.
So have you released any other games?
We did. It's gone now. We built a small iPhone game just to see if we as a group of guys could make a game. We didn't really care about it. I mean, it was just our first game. Well, I guess we cared about it, but I mean, and we actually originally it was a first-person platformer. You'd run and jump through this text-based game. It was called Indy User, and so for this game as a side project, when we kind of get burnt out, we're making a 2D version of the game, side-scrolling. Going to call it the same thing and putting it in an arcade cabinet inside the bar that we currently have made right now. So we're kind of working on that. We were hoping it was going to be done in here, have a little game inside of a game, but didn't get it done quite in time. So I mean, that was back burner stuff. So
obviously, of course, there's been some like trouble. We understand that, but we just want to know what trouble have you guys run into in the past with this game?
In the past, I mean, AI is always a big thing. Trying to make your AIs work correctly. Control schemes is a big thing. we wanted to have this game as like an homage to older games, and so we weren't going to force feed like directions to people, but we're finding out it's a little hard, so we're going to try to add in some more direction to it, kind of let people know, hey, this is where you kind of need to go, this is how you do this, you know. So we're going to add in some of that stuff to make it a little bit easier. We're doing that now. We came here early in development, so we wanted to show people how working on the stuff in real time, you know, so like we can show people how we're fixing the bugs that they are finding in real time. So people can sit down at our booth, they can watch us work on it, we'll implement it each day, get it fixed up, so yeah.
Okay, before the interview is over, I do want to wrap this back. You guys are actively trying to put people that'll come up into the game. You scanned me and Dakota into the game, which is pretty cool. Could you tell us maybe a little bit more about that? How you're doing it, what your plan is with the people you scan?
Yeah. So we're using an Autodesk program to scan faces, and we can even do bodies if we wanted to go that far to it. But obviously, we're kind of in a confined space here.
Of course.
But so we're basically just taking a bunch of pictures all around the head, and we put it into the program, and it just kind of runs the algorithm and slaps it all together. And we're hoping to possibly rig the faces and get them to talk in the game, be actual NPCs in the game, or maybe just background NPCs, depending on how many we get.
Of course.
But yeah, just kind of getting the fans and the people around to be like an active participant in the game.
And I do know that some of our fans... All day. Bring it over. I do know that some of our fans are at Indy PopCon. If you guys do find Void Softworks, all you got to do is like their Facebook page, which we have shared on our own Facebook page, and they will put you in the game. So definitely stop by.
I see you fix the lighting a little bit.
Yeah, we're up to 3 o'clock last night.
Good job.
Twitch stream? Glad we did it too.
Yeah.
We're glad. Open this big door. Why is this door wide open for the rest? What? Look at this!
They want you at 10 till. I do have 5 minutes.
Oh.
Alright guys, so we're on the streets of Indianapolis right now. We're on our way to the eBash Game Center where Slacks McGee is competing in the League of Legends tournament. So hopefully we'll get some footage of that and do a little vlogging from there and show you guys the eBash Game Center. Alright guys, so found Slacks McGee. He's just chilling in between matches of the league. You fuck him up, Slacks?
Yeah, we did. Oh, what tourney?
Yeah.
The 5v5 league.
Okay.
Yeah. It was kind of a stomp. Yeah. I was the Leona, so.
So tell us about the match.
It was fun. The beginning of the game, bot lane was farm lane because we really couldn't go on an Lucian and Sona because they hit 6 before us and they got their ults, and Sona's ult is just an annoying stun, and Lucian's just does a whole lot of damage super fast, and it's just, yeah, it was fun overall. We won. Hopefully we win the next game. That'd be cool.
How are you enjoying the eBash Game Center so far?
It's freaking fantastic.
Are you gonna play any games other than League?
Nope, just League, because I'm broke.
You gonna watch any games?
I'm watching Smash right now. And they got Black Ops 3 up there.
So if these chumps up here are not giving you guys the show you came here and you deserve to see, make sure you let them know. You boo them. You boo them real hard. You make it real difficult for them to play. We have a tournament here coming up. Why don't we get the first person up here? Let's see how he does, yeah? Come on, who's up first? Who is up first? Oh. All right. We're going to be going, is it head-to-head on expert on these? Wow. To the stage, I need Austin Williams and Justin Hall. Let's hear it for these two chumps here to make fools of themselves for your entertainment.
That's good. Was it really?
Oh man, good job both of you guys. That was really not a long song at all. All right, I think we gotta go to the audience here because we happened to be in a cooperative mode there. Sorry about that. All right, I want to hear a show of applause and noise. Bro on the left. Bro on the right. Very well. Hold on, who we got next here?
Oh, you pansy, get out.
Put your arms into it.
It's too heavy, guys.
Put your arms into it.
Need help.
Hey, we got this. Ready?
We got it.
Ready? Ready?
that thing up.
It's not working, man. Whatever. Oh God.
I was supposed to be saying
Hacks! I call hacks!